Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. It is week 4 kicking off on Thursday night.
And then we're starting to get to the point now, Jay, where we can decide which teams are elite, which teams kind of have the possibility to be elite by the end of the season, and which teams are just plain bad. And by the title, guys, I think you can tell one of the teams that we think is just plain bad, Penix punishment, and two of the teams that may be pretty dominant in the Detroit Lions getting that win over the Ravens. But Jay, this is our Thursday night show where we go through some of the games, some of the standout games from week 3. We're then going to talk about the Thursday night game. We'll talk about the early kickoff for you guys, but the game in Ireland that involves Jay's Minnesota Vikings going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm really looking forward to that one, Jay, and then we'll talk about our best bets as well at the end of the show. So stay tuned for that. We're 5 of 4 on the year. We had a bit of a down week this week on the best bets.
So, Maddie, technically it's still an early game for you because it's earlier than the usual.
Yes.
And so you brought up, now we're finally going to be able to, see who's elite and get a feel on the league. I was just having a thought earlier today because I drive a lot, and so I have nothing to do but think. And I was thinking the NFL should really stop playing divisional games before week 5.
Yeah, I kind of love I kind of love that we've had so many good games to start the year, but it does feel like we've had a lot of the big games already. Like we've had a lot of the big games going up against each other. So like Kansas City have already played Philly. If they're on the register, you could have probably kept that and had that for the whole time as well. The Cowboys have already played the Giants and they played Philly in the opener. For example, the Vikings have played the Vikings have had have you had anyone in the division already?
Chicago, week 1.
You've had Chicago already, yeah. And you have
But
those
is that fair to the divisional teams that when those games are so important?
Yeah, those games are so important and your team's just getting it underneath you. But Jay, it is all down to good coaching, winning those games at the start of the year. And we've had some great games already. Jay, this week, we'll talk about it in the show, the week of blocked field goals, and not just blocked field goals, but blocked field goals for returns. I don't think I've seen, after a week of just automatic field goals, to start the season off, I've already heard kickers talking about having another set of posts in the middle to get extra points for getting it straight down the middle. And then all of a sudden we have a week where everyone's missing and kicks are getting blocked and returned for touchdowns as well. Jay, what a crazy week 3.
A lot of misses, too. A lot of missed kicks. The kicking was atrocious this week. And as a Vikings fan, I'm so used to atrocious kicking. It is very nice to be on the opposite side of that for once.
Yeah, I've never been more thankful for Brandon Aubrey.
Me either.
Apart from the fact I was going against him. Also, Jay, important to mention, congratulations for your fantasy win over me this week.
I needed it, bro.
I was getting back on track.
Yeah, I was a game away from this season being over for me already. And so I needed that win.
Yeah, my wide receivers just completely shit the bed. Zay Flowers is going to be fantasy bust of the week 3.
He's my MVP. He's my fantasy MVP.
needed 18 points from him, and we got 3 going up against that Detroit secondary.
Funny thing, before we move on to today's show, if I would have started Will Reichert over Brandon Aubrey, I would have had more points, oddly. I'd never do that intentionally, but oddly, that's how that worked out.
Yeah, crazy. I also, if I started Quentin Johnson ahead of Lad McConkey and also the Titans wide receiver that I have on my bench, then I would have been fine. So the second wide receiver for the Chargers was the guy to have, it turns out. This week, but he's quickly becoming the first.
everybody on my team underperformed except the Vikings defense, who got me 37 and carried me to a victory.
Yeah, when you're going up against 37 points on the defense, that Bengals game just got worse and worse for me. I think I was watching that and texting you, and it's just like, I've lost this. And like I've lost this. There's no way that I can.
And you had only had 2 players play at that point. I want to make it clear to everybody watching. Yeah. Like, he had 2 players, and he's like, I lost.
As soon as you're going up against a defense that scores 34 fantasy points, then you're screwed. Like, that's just, you're in trouble immediately. But Jay, we should probably start off there. We should start with the Minnesota Vikings going up against the Cincinnati Bengals. The Vikings putting up 48 points on the Bengals, and like quite a lot of that was on defensive stuff as well. Isaiah Rodgers having the standout performance of the week. But Jay, is Flores the best defensive coordinator in the league?
It's him and Jim Schwartz, right? I mean, seriously, it's him and Jim Schwartz, I think. I mean, if people have different opinion, put them in the comments, because we'd love to hear them. But right now, for me, just what I watched last week from them 2 defensive coordinators, I was like, damn, how do you play against either of these teams and expect to like have your offense operate normally? It's almost like you have to come up with a whole different game plan. And even and there was times where Browning made the right decision, they had the right play call for the blitz, and the tackling was so good. That's where I was impressed. Like on that play where Isaiah Rodgers just hammers the ball out, picks it up, and runs. That play should have worked against that blitz. That was a swing out, caught, but the Vikings collapsed so fast, and Martellus got off that block. It blew the whole fucking play up, and I was like really impressed with the like fundamentals that they were playing with. It just wasn't scheme. You know what I mean? The scheme's a huge part, but the fundamentals were amazing. If they can do that all season, people are going to be like having a hands full coming to play Minnesota.
Yeah, and to be honest, at points I felt for Jake Browning in that game, because I'm just not sure what you're meant to do if you're not used to. Like, Jake Browning is an experienced backup quarterback in this league, and he's a good backup quarterback in this league as well. But you've got to be playing week in, week out to be ready for what Brian Flores is going to throw at you. And there must be guys just preparing for Brian Flores early on, and the entire NFC North has to be looking at that Vikings defense and thinking, we need to start preparing for these guys now to be able to have all the looks available for them going forward. And Jay, you have the players in place to be able to do that. The unsung heroes of this defense, I think, are the defensive tackles that allow you to completely anchor this defense, which means you can just hold the middle and then do all the stunts around it with Hargrave and Allen as well. Yeah, that's some amazing acquisitions, Jay. And another amazing acquisition from the offseason, Jay, was Carson Wentz, who came in as your backup QB. But as we said in the show, we thought maybe this is actually a better spot for the Vikings to have Carson Wentz in than JJ at this current point in the season. And it looked to be that way. Jay, Carson Wentz had a great game. Do you just let it ride with Wentz until the wheels fall off, or is there a set date where you want to see JJ come back in?
Personally, and this is just because of the situation, you have the team to win right now. If Carson keeps playing like that, you keep riding with him, and there's no problem for JJ sitting another year and practicing, because he didn't get to practice last year, but he did sit in meetings and learn. And we've watched Green Bay had 2 quarterbacks who have sat 3 years, and it seemed to turn all right for them, right? So I don't have a problem. Any other situation, you know me, sit the kid a year and then get him in there. But you have the team to win right now. Don't shoot yourself in the foot when you have a shot at making a Super Bowl run. But if Carson, struggles or whatever, then you just go and you wait till after the bye week. You let Carson play these next 2 games, and you bring JG back fully healthy, you know what I mean, in week 5, because we have the bye after the London game. So I just say that you let Carson Wentz decide, honestly, how this is going to go. His play decides how you play, the rest of the season. And I don't think it's a bad idea. And they're on Kevin O'Connell to make a decision right now. And I'm like, don't answer them. And he's not usually a guy who does that. He answers and he's truthful. But I'm like, you don't need to make a decision right now. Why make a decision and put yourself in a corner and then have to backtrack if it doesn't go the way you're thinking.
Yeah, I don't understand why you would put yourself there. Just keep going. It's actually quite nice that JJ's injured. Just keep him sat. Definitely sit him this week. Definitely sit him in the London game as well. That makes loads of sense. And then see where you are after the bye week. Carson Wentz's stat line didn't look that great, to be honest. It was 14 of 20, 173 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I thought there was some rust there. He actually only threw for 33 yards more than Jake Browning in that game. Obviously, very different games, but he did exactly what he needed to do. That Bengals defense is so porous. Like, it's so bad. Like, there's holes all over that defense. And when your defense is playing as lights out as the Vikings were that day, all you've got to do is just not make a mistake. And Carson Wentz has been prone to making mistakes throughout his entire career. So good to watch him not making those mistakes. Shout out to Jordan Mason as well, who ran for 116 yards in that game and got 2 touchdowns. And
almost 150 all purpose, well. I think.
Yeah, Carson Wentz, Jordan Mason, Isaiah Rodgers, and then the 2 D tackles as well. Just look at those acquisitions from Kwesi. We give Howie Roseman all of these plaudits and all of these shout-outs for his roster building, but look at that from Kwesi.
And let's not forget Scott, the rookie running back, undrafted, looked good as a backup. I was like, I know they loved him in camp, but you hear that shit every year. Oh, he's great in camp, right? Great. And then you never hear from the guy. And they've been talking about Scott, not the coaches, but like people who observe the Vikings practice, right? The beat reporters praising Scott. And I'm like, okay, just another kid who would make the practice squad. Man, he looked good as a backup. I think the Vikings look really good moving on in the future without Aaron Jones, because this is his last year, I'm sure. And when your 4th running back on your team is Cam Akers, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, you're doing pretty great. And that's a great spot to have Cam Akers, right? Just come out, play one game. Like, he seems to play like one game a season where he'll bust 150 yards, or like 1 or 2 games when your running back needs, like, your rookie running back has got a big load gone through a big load in that season. Good to have him sit for Cam Akers to come on for one thing. The Vikings are in a great spot, even with their backup quarterback playing. But Jay, the Bengals, on the other hand, not in such a good spot. They're 2-1. They were 2-0 with Burrow, but just how bad are the Bengals after that loss? Because that is a drubbing.
Yeah, it was awful, but Isaiah Rodgers had the game of his fucking life. And now I see why there's that story about Brian Flores just giving Kevin O'Connell and Kwesi the look and just saying, we need Isaiah Rodgers, and just gave him a look. And they both said they saw that look and they just knew they had to get Isaiah Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, Flores doesn't do that much. So shout out to him and the 99 PFF grade, for whatever people want to put stock in that, but it is the highest ever. And he wreaked fucking havoc. And I think I was going to ask, the only way he could have got to 100 is maybe if he had a sack on top of it. I don't know. I don't know what would have got him there, but I don't know if that's even possible. But you got to kind of feel bad. Now, the whole defense played great, but Isaiah Rodgers wrecked that whole game. And for Cincinnati, it just became a snowball. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong. And there was no stopping it. It kind of reminded me of the Colts game, but the Vikings came back and won that, but that's rare. It's like, it's just a snowball effect. No matter what you do, it's just blowing up in your face.
Yeah, it's like what happened with the Saints as well, right? The Saints this week, their game was just done within the first couple of plays. I remember messaging you and just going like, why did I pick the Saints? I have no idea why I've done that, but it was the longest punt return in history, then a blocked punt, and with the Seahawks, and the Seahawks are obviously playing tonight as well. Jay, what I billed as the game of the week going into week 3, was the Los Angeles Rams going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. And we both got this wrong. We both picked the Rams at +3, but we were so right going into the last play of the game. It looked like the Rams had it sewn up. And then the Eagles return a kick for a touchdown. Jay, was this a lucky escape for the Eagles? They were the far worst team in the first half.
I don't think it's lucky, because if you listen to the interviews with Carter and them after the game, they saw this. They spoke about it, and they went in and executed what they saw on film, which to me is so impressive. But so I don't think it was luck. And also, I see Jalen getting a lot of heat, and I just want to say Jalen did exactly what he had to do to win, and everybody's like, well, he doesn't carry the team. Why does he have to? He proved he can when he needs to, but he's just a guy who doesn't do too much because he knows he's got weapons everywhere. He's got Saquon Barkley and that defense. But no, I would normally say a block kick is some lucky shit when it happens there, but the way they broke it down on how they saw this on film and they talked about it and went and executed it, and those Georgia Bulldogs in the NFL, man, they reckon some shop.
Well, I was surprised. To be honest, I was really surprised that the Rams didn't do more for the protection there, because you could see it happening. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis aren't normally on special teams, and they put him up against the same guard. Like, they put him on the same play. You could see what they were going to do immediately. Like, you knew that was coming. They put their two biggest, most powerful bull rush guys on one guard, saying, we need to go and block this kick to win the game. And obviously, did they have to fucking return it for a touchdown? No, they didn't. That destroyed the spread for everybody. But am I bitter about it? No, of course not. I just hate the Philadelphia Eagles no matter what they do. So it doesn't really matter.
I'm scoring too. I'm scoring too. And there might be some escalator in my contract that I just hit too. I'm scoring.
Yeah.
And like,
and
if there was time left, I would have slid. I would have went down. But since it's the end of the game, I'm scoring.
Also, big man Jordan Davis, how often is he going to have the opportunity to like score any touchdowns in his career? And he was shifting, like he has lost so much. I think they were saying he lost like 40 pounds or something. And he is still huge, but he was really shifting like throughout that run back. So yeah, the Eagles are in a great place there. And I don't think it was lucky either. I think it was entirely schemed up. And look, the defense stood up in the second half for them, and the offense got back to standing up for them. Jay, like one thing that we were questioning when they were going into the game was the passing game and was AJ Brown. I jokingly in my overreaction said that AJ Brown should request for a trade from the Eagles, but he balled out as well. They went, okay, Saquon Barkley isn't working for us this game, and he isn't really working for us this season so far. He's averaging 3 yards. He was averaging 3 yards a carry in that game. But AJ Brown went for over 100 yards, 6 receptions and 1 touchdown. And Jay just seemed to show up in every single big moment. And it wasn't just nice open receptions. It was, oh, I'm just bodying up this cornerback and he's going to try and go through me and I'm just going to body him out. So good signs for the Eagles. And we know that the Eagles just get better throughout the season that they play. But Jay, from what I saw, the Los Angeles Rams I think they're still the most well-rounded team in the NFC. Do you agree with me? Are the Rams the most well-rounded team in the NFC?
They're definitely a really well-rounded team. They're definitely one of the top 5 teams in the NFC. I can't wait to see this season play out because of this kind of stuff, though, right? We got the Eagles playing great. You got the Rams, who we both think could be real contenders. It's like, what's the quarterback situation in Minnesota? How good is Jordan Love? Like, the NFC's got some good storylines, so I'm excited to see how it all plays out. And I don't think this is, to me, isn't like an indictment on the Rams or anything. I think it proves exactly what we were talking about. They just lost on a fucking last-second field goal, right? So, I don't think it's an indictment on the team. I just think they lost to a team that outplayed them in the last few minutes of the game.
And it's been the case. It's been the case with the Rams going up against the Eagles for 2 seasons now, because they've now played 3 games in 2 seasons where the Eagles have won, not necessarily being the best team throughout the whole game. The Eagles have won because Saquon Barkley has hit 2 huge runs, one in the playoff, one in the regular season game last year, and then this play where they block a field goal and they return it for a touchdown as well, because that is a field goal to win the game. That the block is is the big deal there. So I think the Rams are a really great football team. Their pass rush is incredible. The defense was causing all sorts of problems for the Eagles in that first half. Their offense couldn't get anything going, and the Eagles were just, the Eagles in the second half, and they got the job.
Better was the word you were looking for, but you can't stomach yourself to say it, so I'll say it for you.
Jay, the Cleveland Browns pulled up probably the upset of the season so far. They beat the Green Bay Packers. No one gave them a chance of actually beating the Green Bay Packers. But Jay, how did we all forget how good the Browns defense actually is? We looked one defensive team going in to that game, and I didn't even realize, it didn't even cross my mind. How did we all forget how good this Browns defense is?
No, I didn't remember. I mean, I knew the Browns defense was good. I just thought their offense was so fucking bad that the Packers would score more than 10 fucking points, right? Like, I thought the Packers would get like 20, 28 points in this game and put it away kind of easily, but that did not happen. The Browns defense said, okay, hold my beer and watch this. And the Browns defense owned that game.
Yeah, I was genuinely watching the game, and do you know what? I was amazed to start, and then I sat and thought about it, and it just went. New rookie running back comes in, Judkins, and he's running hard, and he wants to make up for lost time, and he's running up against the front, and the Browns don't have the worst run grading offensive line ever. Like they really were running the ball and then playing behind that defense, and the defense looked good. And then Jay, the thing that really didn't surprise me is this is the Jordan Love experience. This is what we've said about Jordan Love the whole time. Jordan Love has all the potential in the world to be a great quarterback on his day, and he plays great football, and he's untouchable. That game against the Dallas Cowboys in the playoffs, where Micah Parsons couldn't get to him, it doesn't stop. It doesn't, like, Micah Parsons couldn't get to him because he was throwing so accurately off his back foot. It was incredible. But if you do that in every game, the wheels are going to fall off, and the wheels fell off here. Jay, can the Green Bay Packers make the Super Bowl under the Jordan Love experience?
Yes, with a caveat. He's got to be on for the whole playoffs. He's got to be on for the whole playoffs, right? And you hit it. You don't know what Jordan Love you're going to get. And the Packers, weirdly, teams they should beat, they beat up on. And then if they hit, they should have beat the Browns. So I guess this might be a bad example. But then teams that play really tough defense, they struggle against. And your defense should have put that game away because the Browns offense is that bad, right? So it makes me also question the Packers defense. Like, okay, you beat up on some teams that you should beat, but then you get into a dogfight and you can't find a way to win, right? And that's important. Like, if you can't win in those dogfights, how are you going to win a Super Bowl? And that's the kind of stuff that makes me question them. It's not the talent and it's not Jordan Love. It's like the resilience of that team when you're in a dogfight to try to win it at the end of the game, and you fucking literally lose to the Cleveland Browns. I mean, and I know I'm being a dick to the Browns, but did any of us see the Browns? Did anybody fucking see the Browns? I don't think anybody in the dog pound seen the Browns winning this game.
Yeah, and I mean, it did take a pretty special teams play.
But it should have never been that close when you're playing that bad of an offense. It should have never been that close.
Yeah, exactly. It should never have been that close. But it did take that play of, again, blocking a field goal, taking it close as well. Like they played really well. The Browns that defense played well enough for them to hang in there. Judkins ran for 84 yards, I think it is, or is it 94? Sorry, my sheet. It is 94 yards. Judkins ran for 94 yards on 18 carries. And Jay, you're going to struggle to win when Josh Jacobs, your running back, 18 carries for 30 yards. 18 carries for 30 yards.
And that's what happens when you let a bad team stick around.
Yeah.
They fuck around and beat you. How many times have you and I been messaging and I'm like, if they don't put them away now, they're going to fuck around and lose to a bad team.
Well, the Buccaneers with the Jets as well. That happened as well this week, where we're not going to talk about it in great detail on the show, which we probably should. But even Scott Hansen on the red zone coverage, he said, "Believe it or not, guys, the Jets are still in this game. Like, they hadn't put anything on it on red zone for ages, and then all of a sudden the Jets were in the game as well." The Browns scored all 13 of their points in the fourth quarter, and I think you can put that up to the fact that that defense was on the field too long. Like, that, the defense that they've put together is fast. And the Cowboys had the same problem. It's like when they had that good defense that was getting all the turnovers, it's if you could stay on the field and make them play, and you could keep them in the game, and you could keep that defense on the field the whole time, it gets tired, it gets worn down as well. And the Browns put up all 13 of their points in the fourth quarter. So yeah, not particularly impressive from the Packers there, but you know, everyone has one of those games. Jay, the Baltimore Ravens got dominated by the Detroit Lions. This game was not that close. Like, the scoreline, the Lions only won by 8 points, but it was not that close in this game. Jay, after saying the Lions might not be good at beating good teams, I said that the Lions could only beat bad teams and they couldn't beat good teams. Is it actually the Ravens that have this problem?
Well, it does. What really helps the Lions and really hurts the Ravens is because the Ravens defense is susceptible to shit, and it's not as tough as the Ravens defenses we all remember. 19-play drive to score a touchdown and 295-yard drives really milked the life, like just sucked the life right out of you as a fucking player, right? That defense, I mean, the Lions, and somebody called that upset, but I don't quite remember who that was. But I just felt like they were I just felt like that was their game. I thought, but it was, I like what the Lions are doing, and maybe I was a little too harsh on them at the beginning of the year. And we had a lot of questions about their coordinator. Looks like they're figuring it out. But it also makes me start to question, and I think we started talking about this last season, is as great as John Harbaugh is it time to move on because you're not getting over that hump? You're not getting to where you need to be under that coach. And at what point do you go, yeah, he's really good, but we're getting knocked out in the playoffs every year and not making the Super Bowl, and everybody's getting older? I mean, how much more of a window do you have to go make this Super Bowl run? So that makes me question the coaching more than the players at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I'm more and more every year that this goes on, where the Ravens play great in the regular season, or they destroy bad teams and then struggle against the good ones. I think you guys need to move on. Like, it's just not working, and it's not a case of John Harbaugh can't coach. Like, that's not what it is.
No, he'll get a job right away.
He'll go to another team. Like, he'll go to another team and immediately have success, just like his brother in LA right now as well. Like, he'll immediately have success. It's about getting a different voice in the building. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's where I think the Ravens are at this point. They really do need a different voice in that building. And Jay, it's just simply not going to help you when you can't get your main wide receiver in the, like, they still scored 30 points, but a garbage time touchdown there. But Jay, the Lions play a brand of football that is going to just run you into the dirt. Are they showing that it is offensive lines that win football games in the NFL?
Yeah, the trenches definitely win. I don't care if it's offense or defensive line. And if they decide to move on from John Harbaugh, maybe there's a call to Bobby Slowick, because CJ Stroud ain't seen the same sense. But okay, that's a whole nother conversation.
Well, that's talking about offensive lines, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yes. But no, offensive and defensive line. I mean, you're watching it with the teams who are, like, you're looking at and you're like, okay, they're serious contenders this year. It's because they're really making moves on the offense and defensive line. You got to move the line of scrimmage one way or another to win that game. And it all begins in the trenches. And I know we the quarterbacks are the most important. They get paid the most. You need receivers. They're the most exciting. Running backs doing crazy shit. But if you don't have those lines, none of it matters.
Yeah, and I think with I think what's really important to look at here is the Lions sacked Lamar Jackson 7 times, and the Ravens didn't get to Jared Goff once in that entire game. Also, on the other side of that, it's a passing league. It's a passing league. It's an offensive passing league. That's just not the case anymore. We're back to running football. The Lions ran for 224 yards, and the Ravens, with their amazing running weapons, ran for 85. That's the story of the game. That's the story of 2 offensive lines and 2 defensive lines at the completely opposite ends. The Ravens, have star quarterback, potentially best running back in the league, star wide receiver, star tight end, but there has to be questions about them in the trenches on both sides of the ball, because in those games where they're miles ahead, so the game against the Bills, that game where they're miles ahead and they lose it, do you know who sorts those games out? Do you know who's the person, who are the people that put that game to bed? It's the offense and defensive lines every time. So I think that is where the Ravens are losing their games, and that's where the Lions are winning theirs. And it's why maybe the Lions should be looking more and more like a favorite in the NFC again. Jay, moving on to the last game that we'll react to fully. I do have one game that I want to have a quick rant about before we fully move on to our rookie MVP and our week 3 MVP. But Jay, the Carolina Panthers zeroed the Atlanta Falcons. The Carolina Panthers dominated the Atlanta Falcons. And Jay, we all asked why Kirk Cousins wasn't traded away, why they paid the extra $10 million. Are we seeing why the Falcons didn't trade Kirk Cousins away? Every time I watch Michael Penix on a down in that game, he just looked bad. It wasn't that his offensive line was getting blown up. It wasn't that he was making wrong decisions. It's just when he stepped up to throw it, all of his mechanics looked wrong and he just looked not good. And it could be the fact that he's left-handed that makes it just look aesthetically different. But to me, Jay, this is why they kept Kirk Cousins. Do you think that Michael Penix will be playing for the Atlanta Falcons throughout the whole season here?
Well, the Falcons came out and said that they're willing to trade Cousins a week and a half ago. But from what everybody's saying is they want a first plus, which they're fucking crazy.
Because they need him in the building.
Yeah, they fucked this whole thing from the jump. So I don't know. And they went from looking great the week before to looking like complete fucking ass again. So I'm not sure. And I even hit the group text and why are you pulling Penix? Let him play through this shit. You're just making more problems in your locker room by benching him. Just let him get beat up for a game and just work on shit. Take it as a live practice at this point. You're already get your head kicked in. Kirk's not going to come in and win the fucking game at this point. You're playing shit on both sides. It'd be different if you were just stalling on offense, but you weren't. You were just playing shit all the way around. I didn't get the call, which is, again, just makes me feel like Raheem Morris isn't the right coach, but I said that since they hired him.
Yeah, and I think with the weapons that they've got in Atlanta, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I think it was really made for Kirk, and Kirk was coming off an injury. Cousins was coming off an injury, and you could have used that. We spoke about it at the time. They could have used that first overall pick to get a pass rusher that they desperately needed, and they desperately needed it again. The Panthers have just hung 30 points on them. The Panthers have just hung 30 points on the Falcons defense, and they desperately, desperately need that pass rush, and they just don't have it here, and they could have got it. And to me, Penix looked really poor. But Jay, on the other side of the ball, you have the Panthers, young team, Bryce Young now looking good. Are they building something in Carolina under Dave Canales? He looks good as well. And do they have what it takes to kind of challenge for the NFC South?
I think they'll be hanging around all year. I don't think this is the year they challenge for it, but I do definitely think they're building something good down there. And I think, and everybody shit on Bryce Young way too early, but we talked about this last year, right? Like the kid is fucking just give him a chance. I thought I knew they had talented young receivers, but I'm impressed on how they're developing and they're playing.
Yeah, me too. And they're getting better week on week, the Panthers wide receiver room, because the Panthers wide receiver room looks really exciting on paper, and you have to ask the question, oh, will they be good in reality? And it is. They're getting better and better. Like every time you watch them, in Tetero and McMillan, I mean, he's an absolute dog at every point here. And I think they are building something in Carolina, and it's the type of rebuild that I like to see. Realize you've got the right coach, give the right coach time, get a bunch of young players in, give the time for them to build around each other. What Detroit did with Dan Campbell, where they realized that was the coach that they wanted. They gave him those 3 years to get everything right. Bunch of young players, build from the trenches outwards. Like, I think Carolina are going to be there. I don't think they'll challenge for the NFC South because the Bucs are just too good.
Do you think, I don't know why his name's evading me right now, the owner of the Panthers that we beat the shit out of for a couple years for his choices.
Yeah.
Do we almost owe him an apology now for the quarterback carousel because he was just doing whatever it took to get it right? Like, do we almost owe them an apology and go, look, this is a guy who took a shot at Baker, didn't think it was going to work, moved on. Took a shot at Sam Darnold, didn't think it was going to work, moved on, right? And then traded up to get Bryce Young. Had a bunch of questions about that, and it looks like they finally got it right. I almost think like maybe we looked at their process as being wrong, but it maybe it wasn't. Maybe this is something with the new NFL you're going to see a lot more of it. There's people moving on from quarterbacks when they didn't think they got it right.
Yeah, I guess another way to look at that is maybe we don't give him the apology for like him getting it wrong and doing it that way. Maybe we give him the plaudits for learning his lesson, because arguably if he's stuck with Sam Darnold's playing great football in
Minnesota, but it was Frank Reich, so that was a bad coaching hire, right? And he moved on from him right away too. So
he does move on from him.
Yeah,
it didn't have to be the QB, but Baker is now in his division tearing up as well.
That was Matt Rule, right?
Yeah. So that's bad coaching, right? But you don't need to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You could have kept the quarterback and still been there.
I kind of give him credit for like, this ain't working. Yeah. Let's start over. That's
I give him credit for learning his lesson, finding the coach, and then sticking with the QB once he's got the coach. I think is a fair thing to say. So yes, well done for what they're doing in Carolina. Jay, we'll finish off the review of week 3. We don't have a GMJ because the notes for the Pittsburgh and the Minnesota game are very GMJ relevant. So I've put the GMJ segment there as well. But Jay, our rookie MVP for week 3, who have you got as your rookie MVP?
Jalen Lane, wide receiver, punt returner for the Commanders. He balled the fuck out this week. Yeah. I do have a couple honorable mentions too, but I don't want to step on your pick, so I'll give them after you give your pick. But for me, Jalen Lane played awesome, and he deserves all the kudos that he's getting.
Yeah, mine's a less obvious one. He's Michigan's top 10 draft pick, Mason Graham, playing for the Browns. He's looked amazing to start the season out, but against the Packers, this is taken from Seth Walder, this stat, but he had a 43% pass rush win rate against the Packers. 43% he was winning on his pass rushes from defensive tackle, and he was causing havoc throughout that entire game. So Mason Graham, a defensive tackle for the Browns. Good grown-up draft pick decision from the Cleveland Browns as well.
Yes, and I just think we'd be doing these two disservice if we didn't bring them up. Shout out Scatabo. Like, seriously, shout out. Yeah, and then Ibuka, wide receiver for the Buccaneers, is fucking balling. This rookie is fucking balling.
He's crazy. I feel like Scatabo. So Tracy's gone down, and that sounds like it's going to end the world. But actually, Scatabo might genuinely be maybe not better in terms of talent, but better in terms of like actual play, because he's just like, he's like a little fire hydrant with legs, and he's just going to run through you and just keep going. And then Ibuka, I feel like I talk about him every single week when we get to this segment. I feel like he's in the honorable mention. He's incredible, and his connection with Baker Mayfield already is scary. Mike Evans has gone down for the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin's coming back. Maybe they don't lose that much with Ibuka there.
Yeah, that guy is amazing.
Yeah, he's absolutely incredible. And Jay, our week 3 MVP, who have you got?
Isaiah Rodgers. I mean, is there anything? But the truth is, it could have been Christian Darrisaw, because that whole offense looks so much better with him on the offensive line. But I'm a Vikings fan. I'd be an asshole if I didn't go with Isaiah Rodgers, right? Because that was an epic performance, and it was history-setting for the Vikings, too, and the NFL.
Yeah, I think fair enough. I think it has to be Isaiah Rodgers, and that's fine. I'm going to throw another name out there. I'm going to throw Caleb Williams out there for his play against the Dallas Cowboys, more in a case of what he has come back from, kind of like bounce back player of the week, having not a great week and then having a great game against the Dallas Cowboys. He made every single right decision, even against a terrible defense that the Dallas Cowboys are. And Jay, the Dallas Cowboys are shocking. Really, really, really bad. Can't defend the run, can't defend the pass. They're in trouble defensively, but I think Caleb Williams had a good game there. Jay, before we move on to looking ahead to week 4 into tonight's game, and then the early kickoff on Sunday, shall we have a little chat about the benching of Russell Wilson for Jackson Dart? How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
The only thing I gotta say is, why the fuck didn't you give him a whole offseason as the number 1 if you knew this was what you were going to do? And we all knew this was what you were going to do. So why the fuck did he could have been getting first team reps in practice and in 3 games. But no, you had to start Russell Wilson, which I don't get if you knew, which we all knew, so they knew. And
yeah,
I don't know. I'm more and more just like, can Daboll even coach? Because look at Danny fucking Dimes. Look at Danny Dimes balling the fuck out with Shane Steichen. Can Daboll even fucking coach? That's my question for the week.
Yeah, and I think I think on that as well, the other crazy coaching part of that for me is, what do the Giants want their season to be? Because for me, surely it's about progression, getting their young players game time, good progression throughout the season, but lose as many games as possible so you can fix the glaring holes in your offense and defense, defensive side of the ball as well. Why the hell wouldn't you play Russell Wilson or even Jameis Winston just for the sake of appearances and whatever? Why wouldn't you play them two against the Chargers, who are coming into your building, this hard-hitting, defensively driven team, when you've got the Saints the next week? You've got the perfect game to bring your rookie quarterback into. Give him some reps against the Chargers, but let Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston get the fucking shit kicked out of them against the Chargers. What, why are you throwing your rookie into that game when you've got the Saints the week after? Because if the Giants win every game now, great, but you're not going to. So this seems like a weird spot for me to bring him into if you're not just going to play him from the start of the season.
Is Russell Wilson's career over? Because I don't think he can be a backup.
I think perhaps this is it, right? I think perhaps this is it, and it probably should be, but you'd still have him amongst possibly the top 32. But
those teams that are at the bottom, right? Those teams that are at the bottom.
We'll just go for the young guy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. So I think Russ's career might be over. And what do you do if you're New York? I almost think at this point you just fucking cut him.
And yeah, I'd be tempted to. I mean, it depends how. Obviously, we don't know what it's like being in the building, and obviously, if you are going to hide as a star, like New York might be the place where you're so surrounded by stars that, like, okay, like not football stars, but just sports stars, right? That you can maybe mold a bit easier into the background. And Jackson Dart is the new darling of the New York media as well. So maybe he can hide there, but I would be tempted to cut him as well. Or I'd be tempted to trade him to the Bengals or like one of these teams that's got an injured, like
if they want him, that's the thing, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I do think you're right, though. They need to rebuild. But I don't know this for a fact without looking, but after all the moves they made, I feel like the Giants have to have a lot of cap room going into next year, too. So if Jackson Dart shows signs of being your guy, you're in a good spot, actually. But I just have a problem with you not playing him all year from the jump, letting him get all those reps in training camp and the preseason and then the 3 games. But I like Jackson Dart more after the little bit I've seen in the NFL than I did coming out of college. So I'm excited to watch him, and I'm cheering for him.
Yeah, I like Jackson Dart in the preseason stuff that I saw of him as well. Like he looks good. Like he can sling the ball. So that's going to be fun to watch. And with that, I genuinely just think it's crazy to put him in against the Chargers when you have the Saints in the next week. But otherwise, generally the right decision, if not necessarily done in the completely correct, the correct way by New York. Exciting though, new quarterback for us to watch and judge as we always do. But Jay, that is week 3 in the books. We're now moving on to week 4. But first, guys, we have an ad for you. Made a new ad today, and it's all about buying us a cup of coffee. So see you guys after. Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fund. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions. That'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5. You can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while. Yeah. So the link is in the description now, guys, if you want to buy us a coffee, and that ad's going to be playing on our platforms. That goes for everybody on the platform.
Buy us a cup of coffee just because Maddie did a great job with that. But that's going to give me anxiety if I have to deal with 2 of his cowboy-loving asses.
Yeah, I know. Right, Jay. Now they need to buy us extra coffee because I've learned how to fucking clone myself now. And, like, I'm going to just keep going until, like, just the Brits. I'm going to basically keep going until the UK has a Labour voting majority again and just keep cloning myself and just keep on giving myself votes, I think is the way to go forward. I've learned that that's the way to go against the far right in the UK, but we're not going to talk too much about politics. But buy us a coffee. The link is in the description. Jay has left.
No, I had to turn the light up on my camera. It's getting darker as we talk.
But Jay, Thursday night football, the Arizona Cardinals are going up against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks are 1.5-point favorites. Jay, the Cardinals coming off a 1-point loss against the 49ers, and they also lost their starting running back, James Conner. Sad story with everything James Conner's been through, but from a football terms, how big of a loss is losing James Conner for what looks like this season?
All right. I'm going to start this by saying mad respect for everything James Conner went through. I think this might be addition by subtraction. I don't think he's been looking the greatest the last couple of years. Not like he was a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
I think he's coming to the end, and maybe this is addition by subtraction. Maybe it's time to move to a different running back. But in the scheme of things, it could really hurt if you don't have somebody to step up, right? Because he is solid, but he's not the guy that we all remember. And so it's a loss. Probably, but maybe they get better. I don't know. I'm just sitting on the fence, but I think it might be addition by subtraction. I'm just going to say it that way.
Yeah, they have a really exciting running back room actually in Arizona, and they have a very like run-based offensive style of football. With some design runs from Kyler Murray should probably come out as well, as long as he slides and gets down and doesn't get hurt. But he seems to have lost that like running.
If you jinx my fantasy quarterback, I'm going to be so irate.
I'm trying to get you more running yard points on it, but with Trey Benson, I think really exciting looking running back. Like when he came in and took over, he looked good. For when he came in on that game against the 49ers last week. And also I've always really liked Demercado. Whenever they've brought him out, he's always brought juice. He always brings juice to everything they do. So I think they do have a running back room there that supplements the game. I think that James Conner is a big loss in terms of like the experience, the go forward that he gets for that team. He always comes up with good touchdown numbers. He's great in that short yardage, but I agree with you. He hasn't looked maybe the best this season. So I don't think it's the big fall off that everybody is expecting it to be. What has been a big fall off for the Arizona Cardinals, Jay, is their offense, and it just cannot get on the same page at all. What do you think is at the heart of like Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison just not being on the same page whatsoever? And it's on a very different wavelength than Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas Jr.
Marvin Harrison can't get separation, but we talked about this before the draft. Mm-hmm. He that's not his game, and he's your number one, and this causes a problem, and it shrinks the field for Kyler Murray, and it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why the fuck would you not draft Neighbors? Like, why the fuck? I hate to go back to the horse I beat in the draft, right? 2 years ago, but I just think it was the wrong pick. I don't think there's separation. And then when you're number one, either isn't like Justin Jefferson is fast enough, but he's not lightning fast, but he gets separation where Jordan Addison gets separation and is lightning fast. Or CeeDee Lamb is great at separation. Also, he doesn't need to always use his speed. We're not seeing that from Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that Marvin Harrison Jr. is the classic case of like, he was more than athletic enough for college, but this is the NFL, you know? Like this is the NFL where everybody is fast, like everybody's rapid. And on top of that, they've been playing the game for a while now, so they understand the tricks of the game. And the other part of this is, Jay, short quarterbacks seem to need big body wide receivers or big body just receivers, especially for going over the middle. Like if they're going over the middle, they either need separation or they're going to have to give you a jump ball. And Marvin Harrison isn't that guy either. And I think what they're missing, Jay, is flogging the dead horse from the draft 2 years ago, but actually flogging the horse from the draft in the last year. They didn't add speed on the wide receiver side of the ball. They didn't have the speed to stretch the field and then open those space for Marvin Harrison Jr. They didn't add that speed. They didn't get those plays in the offseason, and I was very surprised by that. But Trey McBride looks great. Like they have, for me, Jay, watching them against the 49ers, they actually showed me what I wanted them to show me, which is that consistency that I've been begging for. And they just don't have the weapon. They're now just missing the weapon, the final piece of the puzzle. Jay, if the offense can get on for the Cardinals, if the offense can get on the same page, if Marvin Harrison Jr. can get some separation, if they can find a bit of speed somewhere to add, can the Cardinals actually challenge for the NFC West?
Well, I think they can be in the mix and fight for the playoffs. I think that the Rams will run away with this division by the time it's over. But and the Cardinals have fucking like a laundry list of injuries right now, which is completely wild. But I think they have a ton of talent. But this is the same conversation you and I are having every year, it seems like, about the Cardinals. And I almost feel like Cardinals fans got to start feeling like Cowboys fans when they're like, "This is our year. This is our year." Like, because I start feeling that way for the Cardinals. Like, maybe not the Super Bowl, but you're going to be in the playoffs making some noise. And then all these questions keep coming. And then you lose these close games, which, you know, when it comes down to playoffs and stuff, that matters at the end of the year that you lost these close games to a division or to a conference rival or division rival. Yeah. So.
Yeah. They put together these groups of players that look incredibly exciting, but can't actually put it together. And now they've it feels like they've almost done the opposite, where they've now put a group of players together that can get it together and can play together, and they've lost the excitement element. And maybe the juice from Trey Benson, maybe Kyler Murray goes out and makes some bigger plays and stuff like that. Trey McBride is probably the second best tight end in the league right now, as receiving tight end in the league right now, behind Brock Bowers, Brock Bowers hasn't actually looked that good so far this season, but Trey McBride's very good as well. Jay, a team that's really confusing, and I think we started off the year after their loss to the 49ers by saying, what do we expect from the Seahawks this year? What should the Seahawks expect? Well, they've put 31 points on the Steelers. They put 44 points past the Saints. Jay, are the Seahawks an elite team with Sam Darnold in?
I don't think so, but I have this weird thing with tonight's game. So every logical thing in me tells me the Seahawks are going to win. Something inside me tells me the Cardinals is going to win. So this is a really hard game for me. I think they're really good. Do I think they can compete for a Super Bowl? I don't, but maybe they'll prove me wrong by the time the season's over.
Yeah, it's a really interesting, they're just an incredibly interesting team, and an incredibly interesting NFC West of like quite nicely well-rounded teams. Like the 49ers feel like kind of like the old guard that's kind of like fighting on, and there's a new injury every single week with the 49ers of a star player. But
Bosa's out for the year.
Yeah, Bosa's out for the year. George Kittle was out the week before, but is seemingly maybe coming back. Or Juwan Jennings is now injured. Brock Purdy is out, and they're like that scrappy. They're like some scrappy dog with like one eye that'll just keep on fighting on. Are you familiar with the Monty Python sketch, like the Black Knight who's guarding the bridge and says like, "'Tis but a flesh wound," and he's got like both of his arms chopped off and his legs chopped off? The Holy Grail by Monty Python, very, very good. But yeah, "'tis but a flesh wound." You still shouldn't pass. The 49ers are kind of there. The Seahawks, young team, interesting quarterback situation coming in. With, seem to have had a bit of a rebuild over the preseason, but the rebuilds actually made them just instantly better offensively, it looks like. A lot of young players. The Rams have this really well-rounded team full of young and old players, and it's really great. And like they probably could have been in the NFC Championship game last year. And then you have the Cardinals, who, like as we've been talking about, so it's a really interesting division. And for me, the Seahawks look really well placed in what they're doing. And Witherspoon on the defensive side of the ball, Tariq Woolen on the defensive side of the ball, D-Law that they got from the Cowboys on that side of the ball. But Jay, Sam Darnold is tearing up. He's currently completing 70% of his passes this season. And what do you think that is for Sam Darnold? Where does Sam Darnold rank in quarterbacks now? Like, what do we do with Sam Darnold?
It's a good question, actually. That's something we should do coming up here, is do a ranking of some quarterbacks, because I haven't done that at all this year yet. And it's a good question, because is he top 10? I don't know. He might be. I have to go through, you know what I mean, ranking quarterbacks right now. I think Sam Darnold just learned to play within a system. I think between being in the 49ers for a year and then Minnesota for a year under good coaching, he went and learned how to play within a system and not have to do too much. And he's super talented. We always knew that. So it's a good question. Where do you rank him, Maddie?
I think he has to be currently that top 15, pushing top 10
for sure.
Now.
For sure,
100% he's there, which means he's easily a solid starting quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
That means he's easily a solid starting quarterback in the NFL, whereas, you know, but a year ago, the Vikings drafted a quarterback to come in and replace him as well. So against the Steelers, so he's thrown for 70% this year. Against the Steelers, he went 22 of 33 for 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, but also 2 interceptions in a very Sam Darnold style stat line there of like being incredibly accurate, but then somehow within the 30% of throws he misses 2 interceptions, which is just very crazy thing to do. I've kind of not taken the Saints stats on that one. Jackson Smith and Jigba makes him instantly better as well. Jackson Smith and Jigba looks great. Cooper Kupp actually got 90 yards in that game as well. Cooper Kupp might not be as dead as we dead as we all thought he was. So I don't know what I think of the Seahawks, and mainly because I don't know what I think of Sam Darnold at all. But Jay, the Seahawks are favored by 1.5 points in tonight's game, which kicks off in about 50 minutes. So who have you got?
Heart or head, right? Heart or head. My gut says the Cardinals. I'm going with the Cardinals for the upset. Give me the Cards plus 1.5.
Okay, I've got the Seahawks in this one. I don't think the Cards have the weapons to beat this.
It's that Thursday night at home short week. That's why I got this weird Kyler Murray has a big night with his legs type thing, but who knows? Yeah,
I mean, like big home game, like it's a good job it's in Arizona. It is annoying. It seems I've not been traveling around the US, but it seems like a bit of a pain in the ass to get up to Washington State. Seems like one of the more annoying places that teams have to travel to. Seattle, so probably a big deal that it's in Arizona as well. This
Seattle is a far flight for everyone.
Yeah, Seattle is a difficult place to get to, it seems.
And the 12s are loud.
Yeah, so, yeah. It's weird that, isn't it? How, like, in places where it's difficult, because, like, for example, in the Premier League, Newcastle fans and Sunderland fans are classed as some of the loudest. They're also the furthest away from everybody else. Like, it's weird.
Because they don't have shit else.
They just don't have anything else to give a shit about. So like everybody just saves it all up for the weekend, you know, and then lets it all out at the games. Jay, now an atmosphere that is going to be fucking mental. By the way, I'm excited for the US to see how nuts this is going to be. I wish I was in Dublin for this weekend. The game in Ireland where the Pittsburgh Steelers are going up against the Minnesota Vikings, two of the bigger fan bases abroad as well. Whenever you go to the games in Europe, there are always Steelers fans and there are always Vikings fans. And I'm sure there'll be Steelers and Vikings fans coming over from the States as well, because it's actually cheaper to fly to Ireland and watch the game here than it is sometimes to watch the games.
30% of tickets went to the UK.
Well. Yeah. To the UK, well, you know, there'll be loads of us there as well, but Dublin is a cracking.
That's what I'm hoping. Put on your Vikings jerseys, UK, and come out in droves, because I'm already hearing rumors that the Ireland is kind of ruled by the Steelers when it comes to football. So we need the UK Vikings fans to come out in droves. Yeah, there are lots of UK Vikings. Every vintage shop there's Vikings gear in there in the UK. Jay, this is going to be a mad atmosphere. The Vikings are in a really this is where the GMJ bit comes in, because the Vikings are in a really interesting situation. The Vikings are playing 2 games in Europe. But they're across 2 different countries, obviously in the same Isles, the British Isles, but Ireland, and then they're playing a game in the UK as well. Jay, how the Vikings cope with a double Europe game, and especially when it's across 2 different countries? I think it's going to be good, and this is why. It's because of their mindset. From the beginning of the season, the coaching staff and the GMs have been preaching, this is going to be amazing. It's 10 days that we get to bond. It's another chance for us to be closer as a team. And it seems like the players are really embracing this. I hate the idea, but I do like that it's 2 away games, so we don't lose any home games. So if we're going to have to play away games on neutral sites, so be it, you know, that kind of thing. I actually think it could be a benefit for them, though, because they get to build more team camaraderie. Wow, easy for me to say. And they can, you know, just enjoy themselves. And the way it sounds like is they're going to play the game. They're going to fly in on Friday, play the game in Ireland, spend Monday in Ireland, and then do a regular week of their normal shit in London, getting ready for the game. So I think that'll be cool for the players too. As long as you can get the players to embrace it, I think it's a benefit, actually.
I actually think this is a massive benefit for them that it's Ireland and the UK as well, right? Because what I think the US fails, kind of doesn't understand is the fact that, like, actually the flight between Dublin and Ireland, it's the flight between Dublin, Ireland and London is about 45 minutes. Like, to get between those two countries, it's about a 45-minute flight, not even really getting up and down during that time of that flight. Jay, they would travel further in the game that they would play. Like, they would have to travel further in the game that they would play to go from Minnesota than where they're going. Obviously, it's a week away from their families. I get that. But it's Ireland and the UK. Not going to lie, man, very similar to the US. They're the two culturally the most similar place, probably the two of the most culturally similar places to Minnesota that you could go on the planet as well. So I don't think it's as big a deal as like what it's been made out to be. And I agree. From what I've seen, the Vikings are going in with a really great mindset on this, and it's a great time for team bonding and those kind of things as well. And then Jay, the other part of this, the fact that they're playing in Dublin for the first time, both of these teams have also played in London. Do you think it'll be harder or the same as playing games in London? The fact that it's Dublin and the fact that it's the first time that there's been a game there.
Well, I think they learned a lot. I'm sure they reached out to the college coaches who played there last year, right? When they had the college opening thing there, and they get an understanding. And I know for what the Vikings have said is the only thing that worries the people planning it is the trip from Dublin to London, because there's some weird custom shit they have to deal with. And
thanks to this beautiful thing called Brexit, we now don't share a customs border.
Right. So there's this weird custom thing. And then
if they just went to Belfast, all they would need, Northern Ireland and Ireland. This generally interesting, I think. So Northern Ireland, Belfast is part of the UK. They share a soft border. They share the same customs union. So in theory, they could just go to Belfast and then just travel normally without any customs worry.
Well, this is what makes it more difficult.
Belfast, there's no problem.
Delta does not have a flight from Ireland to the UK, so Delta set up a whole new flight that they never do for this trip too. So but now that that's all worked out, I think it's going to be smooth sailing for them. But they were worried about the customs and the Delta flight. I don't know if they have some kind of contract with Delta or what the fuck that is, but they figured that all out. So I'm not worried about it.
They must have a contract with. They must have.
I don't see the UK like pulling them off and like body cavity searching them on the way in.
No.
So, you know what I mean? So I think it's going to be a smooth process, and they're going to have a whole week in London. I hated it when I first saw it, but I've actually come around to this could be actually really beneficial for the Vikings.
Yeah, like what I think would suck is if you were doing the Spain game and the Germany game. Like if you were doing,
I think the Australia game's going to suck balls. Not for the game, but for the travel.
Yeah. The Australia game seems a bit of a reach to me. Like
I like it that it's not the Vikings, because I want to see a game in Australia. I think those fans will just rock the fucking house, and I think it'll be amazing. But I am glad it's not the Vikings taking like a 14-hour flight to go play a football game.
Yeah, it's in Croke Park as well. I thought it was in the Allianz Arena, which is a great stadium. But Croke Park is like this historic stadium in Dublin. Like it's an amazing place. Like it is where they hold they must have put a massive extension on it because the Euros are coming up. But they must have put a massive extension on it because like that was a small stadium when I was last there, and now it's this really historic and amazing stadium, and they play all the hurling and the Gaelic football and stuff. They play it in Croke Park, and it was a big sport of like Irish independence. And sorry, my history's nerding out. Jay, I think for them playing the game in Dublin rather than playing the game in London, I think if you take it, I know they're playing the game in London as well, but in London, they have everything set up. They've done it before. The Vikings have done it quite a few times before now, due to the amount of support that they get in the UK, I imagine. But they due to that, they have all the things set up that they know what they're going to do. They kind of know exactly how the week's going to look. And in Dublin, it might look slightly different, but I doubt it'll look that different. And actually, I think feeding off the excitement of being the first people to do this in an amazing place, and Ireland is so connected to the US as well. Like I'm sure it's an exciting thing for them, and if they feed off that excitement, then they'll get there. And two great coaching staffs. Like we've obviously spoken about it from a Vikings point of view a bit more because of the just who we support on this podcast, but the Steelers as well. Mike Tomlin, great coaching staff, and they'll have themselves in the right headspace. But Jay, let's actually chat about the game and how you're feeling about going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Will Aaron Rodgers' experience be able to handle Brian Flores' defense?
I sure hope not. And what I think is going to help the Vikings is they've been getting a lot of pressure by just sending 4. And that's how you really kind of utilize or neutralize Aaron Rodgers, because he's really good on the blitz, right? And he gets the ball out quick. If you can rush 4, confuse him, and then maybe get home or at least pressure him. And once Rodgers is off the spot, he's still good, but he's not what he was, 7 years ago on the run. So I think that's what you do. Also, Aaron Rodgers has always been pretty good at not throwing interceptions. But again, it's a new team, a new system. And at times it doesn't look smooth with the Steelers, and other times it looks great. So it just depends on how they're clicking for that game. Always playing the Steelers, and I know people are like, they're not as good this year, but always playing the Steelers defense and Aaron Rodgers always makes me a little nervous.
Yeah, and I was trying to work out, Jay, and I don't know if you know the answer, but how much Aaron Rodgers and Brian Flores have played against each other? Because obviously Flores was at the Dolphins, but that was before Rodgers was at the Jets. But then maybe Flores then makes his way to Minnesota.
Yeah, I don't think he's played. I don't think he's played there. No. He's been there 3 years, and I don't think we've played Rodgers because we played the Jets, but he was injured.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, I don't think they've actually played against each other, despite being in and if you close to the same division.
There's so many connections because of Rodgers in the NFC North, but Tomlin was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings when he got the head coaching job for the Steelers, and Flores was a defensive, not a coach. He was what do they call it when they just bring you in at the end? A consultant, a defensive consultant the year before he came to Minnesota. There's a lot of connections between the two teams, so I think it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Aaron Rodgers hasn't seen this before, we can talk about the experience and all of that kind of stuff, but he's not actually seen it that much before. He's not actually seen it that much before. And look, Aaron Rodgers has seen pretty much everything before, so he'll know what to move to. He'll know how to get away from different types of pressures. It won't be like what it was like watching Dak Prescott this week, where the Bears looked like they were going to rush 6, and then they only rush 4. And then Dak still thinks the rush is coming for some reason, so just throws it short of the sticks every time. But that's okay. By the by, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to get into that with Brian Flores. So I think that's going to be a really interesting battle in the game. But Jay, yes, the Steelers' defense hasn't been as good this year, but it's got better week on week on week. How are you feeling about Carson Wentz stacking up against this better test this week? Because the Bengals were bad. How are you expecting Wentz to
stack? As long as he just plays in the system like he did last week, Kevin O'Connell has proved he will get you open reads. He will get you open. He will scheme people open. Just stick to the system. Go through your progressions, hit the open guy. He was throwing the ball quick, a lot of times under 2 seconds, which was impressive for a guy who hasn't played meaningful football since the Colts, maybe. So I don't know. Just stay within the system. You have all the talent. You've proved you were a fucking top 2 pick. You fucking
He proved he was worth it, Billy. He was an MVP caliber.
That's what I was just gonna say. You've been an MVP candidate. You were on a Super Bowl team, even though you got injured. You got him halfway there. Just stay within the system, and you should be fine. It's when Carson Wentz tries to do too much that he does dumb shit. So hopefully he's got that out of his system. And he was with Andy Reid last year, and then he's been with Sean McVay. I think maybe he's learned a lot over this time too of not being a starter. And again, I just think it's really cool when a guy gets to play for his childhood team. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think that's really cool.
Yeah. I didn't realize that
he's from North Dakota, and there's no football team in the Dakotas, and the Minnesota's the closest. So most of them, yeah.
Again, I didn't make that connection until, like, obviously I heard it on the commentary a lot. But impressive, and obviously Jordan Addison coming back in.
That's huge.
How much of an impact do you think he'll make straight off the suspension?
I mean, he's literally proved when JJ was down for 100 games last year, well, at least it felt like it, that he's a number one in this league, and now he's a number two because they have to double cover JJ. Like, he was balling out when he was the number one, and they could double cover him. You know what I mean? Now you're talking about a guy who is not going to have double coverage because it's all going to be flowing over the top of JJ. I think he could be what kickstarts the Vikings offense into being elite like we see in spurts.
And just a reminder, Jordan Addison is not coming off an injury. So all this talk of like, oh yeah, coming back, he'll be slow starting. He was suspended. He's not.
And thanks to the new rules, because it's under the drug policy, he got to be in the building the whole time. Unlike where it used to kick you out of the building, but now if it's a drug suspension, they want you around the team so that you feel supported. So he got to be there the whole time he was gone. And Kevin O'Connell said he's in amazing shape.
Yeah, was he allowed reps with the team, or was it just he's been?
No, but they knew he was getting suspended. That's why they worked the shit out of him in the preseason, and and if you remember, Justin Jefferson didn't do anything in training camp because he tweaked his hamstring.
I'm very tempted to put him in my starting lineup for fantasy this week.
I tried to bully Maddie into trading him, and it didn't work. I even tried to bully him a little, and
I'm a hard negotiator. But with Addison, I'm tempted to put him in at the flex, just for the upside on it, and the fact that the Steelers defense hasn't been great. And Jay, that leads us to our picks, where the Vikings are 2.5-point favorites in this game. Who have you got?
I got the Vikings, but like I said, Aaron Rodgers and that defense make me nervous. I do think the Vikings are a better team, but again, there is a lot of veteran talent on that Steelers team, and they have really good coaching. So I think it's going to be a hell of a game, and I think all the fans in Dublin are going to get a hell of a game. And the one thing I do predict, this game will not be shite.
It will not be shite. No. It'll be good.
Best word in all of England is when they say shite.
It'll be good crack, this game, as the Irish say. But Jay, for me, TJ Watt got the monkey off his back. He looked way better to start. But do you know who else got the monkey off their back? Which is what Christy and Darren is going to be listening to before going into that game and shutting down TJ Watt. I think the key to this game for the Vikings is running the ball through Jordan Mason, who looks amazing so far this season. JJ, Jordan Addison is back now. Carson Wentz is just hitting those targets. And then you have Brian Flores' defense on the other side.
Don't forget TJ Hawkinson, Adam Thielen, and Jalen Naylor.
Yeah, exactly. Like that side of the ball is crazy. And then the defense is one of the best in the leagues. And then just to top it off, the Steelers for 2-1, their first win, only a 2-point win over the Jets. Their second game, demolition by the Seahawks, and then they only just scraped past the Patriots. Well, they got past the Patriots by a touchdown in that game as well, but they by no means looked exciting, and the defense still was it was okay, but it was the fucking Patriots,
Both those teams look like shite. Let's be real. Both those teams at times look like shite.
That was the worst game of the week. That was horrific. They were both they won by 7 points. And I think Drake May the Patriots turned it over on the 1 yard line. They fumbled. I think they turned it over 6 or 7 times.
Did you watch the condensed version? Because that thing is only 34 minutes.
Yeah, that was a lot. But Jay, I'm taking the Vikings as well. So the Vikings are 2.5, which is impressive for the Vikings on their backup quarterback. But, the backup quarterback situation there is interesting. And Jay, that leads us on to the final segment of the show, and we can let go get ourselves ready with our new coffees that everybody's buying for us on Buy My Coffee. Just a reminder, it's 2:30 in the morning for me over here, so might need some of that. Check the link below. But Jay, week 4 best bets. Who have you got? This is where we go for our 3 best bets. Jay, do you want to start us off?
Yes. So I'm going to start with my first best bet is the Chargers at the Giants -6.
Yeah, I really like that one. I was thinking about going in on that as well. The problem that I have with it is the Giants play some feisty football and they have a good defensive line and the rookie QB coming in. But Jay, the Chargers are a buzzsaw surely in that game.
Yes. So my number 2 best bet, and this is wild to me. Give me the Carolina Panthers at the Patriots +5.5.
Yeah, that I was amazed by that one. Do you want to try and go through what Vegas is thinking on that one?
I just have to feel like the money line the money has to be all on the Patriots, or they just don't give the Panthers any credit. I don't know. But when I saw that, I had to re-look because I was debating on taking the Panthers at -5.5, and I was like, wait, does that say +5.5? So that wasn't even a question for me.
Yeah, and the Patriots have been a weird team this year. So I haven't taken that one because they're just 2 very strange teams to bet on. That big of a spread at 5.5. But Jay, who's your third?
All right, so my third of the week is give me the Ravens -3 at Kansas City. I think Kansas City's cooked until they get some receivers back.
Yeah, in my sheet, Jay, I've got the Ravens at 2.5, so you can have them at 2.5.
I'll take it. I'll take it at 2.5. Okay.
Yeah, you can have it at 2.5.
I like that.
Yeah, that's much better. But yeah, the Ravens, the way that Kansas City have played, and I feel like a lot of that line is on the Chiefs beating the Ravens in the playoffs, right? It's got to be a lot on the Chiefs having the number of the Ravens, but actually, like, this is a very different Chiefs team, and they're still not getting their weapons back just yet. I like all 3 of those. Jay, for me, it's starting at the Rams at 3.5 against the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have beaten bad teams so far, and I like the Colts, but the Rams are just a much better roster at every position here up against that Colts team. So the Rams at 3.5. Jay, I'm betting on the Jets again, which is not always a great place to be, but the Jets are going up against the Dolphins. The Jets are a +2.5. Jay, the Dolphins have looked terrible. The Jets played the Bucks close again. The Jets have played a bunch of close games so far this year. So if you're giving me the +2.5 when the Dolphins have looked that bad, I'll take
I thought about it.
I'll take the 2.5 in that one. And Jay, finishing off, the Commanders are 1.5-point favorites against the Falcons, which I think was also egregious in the same realm as the Panthers, because how can the Falcons look so bad and then the Panthers are dogs and the Falcons are only 1.5-point dogs against the Commanders, considering the Commanders just won with their backup QB, Marcus Mariota.
Do you think that's it? Do you think they're thinking Jalen? Do you think they're thinking he's not going to play?
Jalen Daniels is on the injury reporter's limited practice today. So he's gone from not practicing to unlimited practice now, going into the weekend. So we'll see if he plays. But even if he does, Marcus Mariota, I thought, looked good. So I'll take the 1.5 now, where if Jaden Daniels says he'll play, I'm sure that'll jump way higher. So I'll take the 1.5 now. Thank you very much. But Jay, it's going to be another great week of football. We start the European games. Now. I'm upset that I haven't been able to get out to any of them this year, but we'll keep on reporting to them. And Jay will be with these guys on Sunday, where we go through every single game, where we bet with the spread. And Jay, you have a fun betting thing that we're going to be doing as well on Sunday. Do you want to tell the audience all about it?
Yeah, so join us live. You can help us pick. We're going to pick a parlay with one leg from every game. And if it hits, we're going to do a giveaway. So you can be part of the parlay. You can help us pick it. Maddie and I are going to pick a parlay. But if you're in the comments, man, I will take some of your picks for the parlay. We're going to use Underdog Sports, and I'm going to do I think it turns out to a 14-leg parlay, and we'll see what happens. And this was all an idea I got because of Freezus being in the comments last week talking about his crazy parlays. And I'm like, let's do one for the show. I'll bet it, and if it hits, we will do a giveaway.
Yeah, so come join us on Sunday for a 14-game parlay where we'll be doing a giveaway if the parlay hits to someone who was in the comments. So come join us on Sunday, 2 hours before the afternoon kickoffs. So
that would be 8 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Central, and it would be 11 a.m. on the East Coast.
Yeah, or 8 p.m. if you're on Eastern European Standard Time.
Is that Greenwich? Is that what it is?
No, that's Latvia. It's 6 p.m. if you're on Greenwich. It's 6 p.m. if you're on Greenwich meantime.
Greenwich, okay. I couldn't remember what it was. I knew I was close somewhere in there, but that's only because I've had to do time zones for this thing, these podcasts, and it gets insane. So, and then Maddie travels on me. Maddie, he'll be like, "Oh no, mate, I'm only 6 hours different this time," and I'm like, "Oh fuck, okay."
It's if I end up going to India at one point, Jay, their time zone is half an hour as well, so it's like 6.5 hours ahead. So that'll be too much.
The minutes never changed. Okay, so now I learned something.
Only in India. They're the only ones because they do a time zone for their whole country altogether, the same way that China do one for their whole country.
Okay.
They do it, but they do it at half past. Yeah.
If it wasn't so expensive, I'd have you send me some gobi Manchurian while you were there. And if it wasn't so expensive, Maddie, to ship, I was at a store called Ross's today. You probably don't know what it is, but anyway, they had a cowboy hoodie for like $19, and I would have bought it and sent it to you, but the shipping would have cost me like $40.
Yeah, that's the problem with buying American stuff. Like, honestly, NFL stuff, if you're in the UK, has to be bought in vintage stores. It's the only place you can get it for like.
Do you get now? Doesn't NFL.com ship for free to you guys?
It does, but the prices are mad. So it's like American prices for stuff. So like obviously British prices are way less because we didn't have the wage inflation that you guys all had, which made the living inflation.
Or something called tariffs. But anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Hit the like and subscribe. Check out all the other shows on the channel. There are 7 shows now, so I'm not even going to ring them all off to you. But make sure you hit that notification. That way you don't miss any. And buy us a cup of coffee.
Links in the description. Won't take you any time whatsoever.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.